But you talked about church in the special, in the first season, they actually followed you to church, right? The camera crew?
Yeah, they did. And you know what's interesting, God, is how God works. I was literally like, man, my church is a small storefront. They say, hey, coach, can we follow you to church? I said, I don't know. I got a small little church, man. I'm thinking like, okay, should I go to one of those mega churches? And it kind of looks, and we all turned and hyped. And it's very convicting. They asked me again. What's interesting is when we finally agreed to it, I said, hey, told the church, hey, we're going to come out and we're going to do this whole deal or whatever. So guess what? We get everybody out and the church is ready to go. And then we had to cancel. So they said, we're just going to go next week. And I'm like, okay, fine. So we go next week and it's kind of more traditional. We didn't get the extras to come out because they didn't think cameras. So it was exactly how God wanted it to be. So and super authentic. And he was amazing to just, sincerely make things authentic in terms of for what it really was. And so I thought the first season was special because it was super authentic. Yeah. Nobody knew what to expect. I didn't know what to expect. I'm like, man, you come into this little church and you want to, it's just us and small family and a lot of elders because the church started in the 70s. So it was young then and then it kind of gets old and we got a new generation trying to come up from under the tradition. So that's where it was, but God did exactly what he wanted to do because there was authenticity and people saw it for being, that's a real church. That's a real old school, young LA down the street.
It's South LA, right?
Yeah, right down the street from where Nipsey Hussle, like literally a 5-minute walk from where all that action happened, right there on 60th, or we were 59th and Crenshaw, between 59th and 60th in Crenshaw, right there, Slauson and Crenshaw. So yeah, that's where we're at.
Jeez, that's crazy. Yeah, when I saw it, I was like, man, you really guys are really in the hood. That's crazy. That's wild. I wanted to ask you about that, though. But I want to get into a little bit of your story in a second. But I want to ask you specifically, this is good, about the church, about the young generation. So I used to work in LA, so I definitely know the territory from, all the main streets, right? And if you think about LA, especially whenever I worked in stuff, South LA, all that, you see a church on every corner, like they say. There's churches everywhere. And like you said, a lot of times it seems like it's an older generation. What is the secret, especially in that area? How do you think we can get the youth back in these churches? Because from what I see, there's a lot of elders, it's a lot of churches, but I don't see the young generation. It's like they're kind of missing, you know what I'm saying? What's the key? How do we reach that, specifically that area?
To me, I feel like we have to share the word, the true word. And I think, there's a time where, hey, we get a chance to come to church and it's fellowship and we have these great emotions and we get excited and we're worshiping, but really sitting down and sharing truth and spending more small group time and studying and sharing and teaching our young generation how to study. We're studying as we go through social media. We're studying as we go through Instagram and we're studying by watching, that. We need to study in the same way with the gospel. And I think some of us young leaders need to go back and teach. We got to go back and teach. There was nothing wrong. And we talk about tradition and what happened. And as some of us come out of that suppression, and you could talk about slavery, all we could do was worship, and you couldn't teach, and it was quiet, and we still come out of that time of worship and spirit and experience, but we got to go back and stop and turn off the music and teach. And very fortunate, and I'm so grateful, and it always brings tears to my eyes. I came out of that in my church, and I was so excited, and I was felt like I was full of the Spirit, but at the same time, I went to a conservative college. It's a Christian college, and I was forced to stop and hear the exposition of the word. And so here I'm getting there's two ends of the spectrum. Yeah. But then again, that side, it was a little self-righteous, where, okay, you're yelling a little bit too much. You're worshiping a little too loud. This is what the Bible says. Historically, this is what it is. But when you get both and you kind of bring them together, and I think that's what needs to happen. I think we do a great job with our worship and we do a good job of staying trendy. Yeah. But we need to bring the truth to our children as well.